All right, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Palmdale City Council meeting. Let's go ahead and kick it off with a roll call. Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bishop,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Loa,
Here.
Council Members Olson,
Here.
Betancourt, here, and Alarcon. We have a quorum.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Loa, will you lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, sir.
Followed by a brief moment of silence.
Yes. Place your hand over your heart. Repeat, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, so tonight we're going to be adjourning the meeting with a couple, in memory of a couple people. We have Carl Frank, he was a volunteer at Saves, and also Dave Gomez, community activist and a former board member for the Palmdale Water District. So moving on, we have our cute critter video from the Palmdale Animal Shelter. Let's go ahead and cue that up.
It's right here.
There we go. So lots of animals available for adoption at the Palmdale Animal Shelter. If you're in need of an animal, if you're looking for a new family pet, please try to adopt. It's very important. There's plenty of good animals that need a home out there. All right, so item number 4, presentations. So we're going to have a certificate of recognition to Miss Antelope Valley, Brila Balam, for her community service. I have a short speech here and then a little certificate, so here we go. So Brila was crowned Miss Antelope Valley in 2024, February 3rd at the Antelope Valley Fairgrounds after holding the title of Miss Palmdale for 2023. She graduated her senior year at the end of May 2024 from the Palmdale Aerospace Academy and is now attending her first year at AVC, or Antelope Valley College. During her reign as Miss Palmdale 2023 and serving as Miss Antelope Valley 2024, her community involvement is volunteering with the Desert Dumping Task Force, Seasons of Service, South Antelope Valley Emergency Services, also known as SAVES, Grace Resources. She shows support to the Palmdale sister cities. She's been present at many, many ribbon cuttings, luncheons, the AV chambers, small business events, coffee with the deputy, and just highly involved. And it's as everyone knows, it's difficult to get to a lot of these events because they're held in the middle of the day when school and work happens, but she's been there. Also during her reign as Miss Antelope Valley, she has an affirmation word called Brave. She presents to a group of youths around the Antelope Valley. So far, she had the honor to be able to do her presentation of her affirmation word to Just Dance Studio, a few grade levels at the Palmdale Aerospace Academy, alongside with Jacqueline Diaz-Fontana at the Mental Health Walk Eric A. Garcia You Are Enough Foundation. She will continue to support the community and spread the affirmation word Brave around the Antelope Valley during the rest of her 2024 reign. So I thought it was important to honor her and recognize the service in her community as this year is coming to an end. So I'm going to come down and present the certificate. And be ready to say some words, because that's part of it, right? The public speaking?
Yes.
There you go. What do you got to say?
So I just want to say thank you. I have been helping my community since I was 5 years old, and ever since I started doing pageants, it has helped me to help other people even more. And like, the community is my family, and so I just like to put my heart and soul into it and just do, help out as much as I can.
It's a job well done, and Miss Antelope Valley 2025 has some big shoes to fill.
And Mayor, if we could also thank her mother for.
I was just going to do that.
Oh, okay.
But, of course, come on, we want to thank you. You've been at all these events too, and you know it's not easy. A lot of events throughout the, would you like to say something?
Okay. I just want to say thank you, and it's a privilege and honor also to be her mother and to support her in everything that she does, and the community to welcome us and always with an open arms and helping us and guiding us through everything that we do. Thank you. And that she does.
We were sharing the same brave. Can you say, you should speak then. We were sharing the same brave, because I was thinking at the same time, like, don't forget to thank the mom, don't forget to thank the mom. Yeah.
I respect their efforts.
Yeah.
What happened?
Okay, so that takes us to public comments. Madam Clerk, will you read the rules of public comment into the record, please?
Ladies and gentlemen, may I please have your attention? The meeting of the Palmdale City Council is now in order. A code of conduct will now be read, and we request that you comply with it to ensure the efficient administration of the meeting. Members of the public, it is your right to participate in today's City Council meeting, and the Council encourages such participation. However, the right of the public to address the council must be balanced with the need to ensure that public comment does not interfere with the orderly course of the council's business. All are reminded to abide by the following rules. Speakers must cease speaking immediately when their time has ended. Public comment on agenda items must relate to the subject matter of that item. General public comment is limited to subjects within the jurisdiction of the council. Public comment does not include the right to engage in a dialogue with council members or staff. Please remain respectful of the forum and refrain from uttering, writing, or displaying profane, personal, threatening, derogatory, demeaning, or other abusive statements towards the council, any member thereof, staff, or any other person. Members of the audience should be respectful of the views expressed by speakers, staff, and council members, and may not excessively clap, cheer, whistle, or otherwise disrupt the orderly conduct of the meeting. Any person engaging in conduct that disrupts the meeting is subject to being removed from the council meeting. Finally, if you witness conduct or behavior by other members of the public that disrupts your ability to remain engaged or participate in this meeting, please notify city staff. Thank you for your cooperation.
Now is the time for public participation on the entirety of Section 6 and Section 7. We currently have no speaker cards on those items.
All right, council members, do we have any items we would like to pull from this consent calendar?
I'll move to approve the consent calendar.
All right, we have a motion,
I'll second.
we have a second. Let's vote.
Here we go. Start voting. Motion passes.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on, new business 7-1. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Janelle Sampson, Director of Operations. Item 7.1 is to adopt Resolution 2024-087, authorizing the issuance of special tax bonds for the Ritter Ranch Community Facilities District 2022-3, Phase 1 for the public facilities. This would fund infrastructure improvements for the Phase 1 area of the Ritter Ranch development. We are anticipating bonds to be issued. The bond parameters set forth in the staff report outline a not-to-exceed amount of $46 million, and the interest amount must be less than 7%. As during the development of the CFD, it was negotiated that these bonds would have a 40-year maturity, meaning they would mature in 2064. Typically, bonds would have a 30-year maturity. However, due to that negotiation, we have already established the 40-year. In addition to the approval of this, this would also mean that the existing bonds would be canceled as a part of this. So the former CFD 93-1 bonds would be canceled upon the issuance of these new bonds. There is no fiscal impact to the city as a part of this. These special taxes would be levied on the properties and therefore collected from those property owners to pay the debt service.
Okay. Any questions?
I'd like an update on Ritter Ranch because it's my understanding that this project is in flux.
We actually met with Ritter Ranch today, and they have representatives here in the audience if you'd like to speak with them, but we got an updated timeline, and they are putting in facility backbones and all of the infrastructure, and then we'll be marketing the properties to developers.
Thank you.
My understanding is that the 1995 bonds will be, I guess the appropriate word is what, retired or
Canceled.
canceled? But there's an existing indebtedness on those bonds?
There is.
And how much is that?
It is roughly 26 million.
Okay, and so those are going to be paid off, but not from the proceeds of this bond?
Correct.
So they're separate. I was having a discussion
Well,
with
the
city
cancellation would occur and then the new bonds would be issued. The owner of the bonds is the same owner. RDR Development is the same owner of both the existing bonds and the new bonds.
Okay,
So we're not paying twice?
No,
Okay, just want to make that clear.
right.
It's just moving it over.
exactly.
In other terms, this is a mellow ruse, right? This is going to help homes get built. So when the people buy the homes,
That
they
is
have-
correct. These bonds will fund the infrastructure
right,
improvements.
it puts the curb, gutter, street, sidewalks, street, all that infrastructure. We currently still have a mellow ruse or a bond out for the existing Anna Verde. I think it's like 15 years, and these are what, 30 years or something like that?
The ones that we're bringing before you tonight would be 40 years.
40 years, yeah. So.
Typically, they're 30 years, though.
Yeah. It's the new financing method to get homes built, and hopefully it works. Do the applicants, do they wish to speak or say anything?
Well, just a second, I was still.
Yeah.
As always, the mayor gets right to the heart of the issue, which is to build homes, and I think we're all in agreement with that. But I'm just curious as to the indebtedness. Ms. Perez, I had a little talk to her about that. The money to pay off the existing 1995 bonds will come from reserves. Will not be affected by this at all?
It would cancel those completely,
Completed?
yes.
Completely.
Okay.
So I guess my concern is that this is a 40-year bond. Typical mortgage is 30 years. So they're going to have to pay an additional 10 years on this bond after their home is paid off with the mortgage?
That would be correct. That was negotiated at the time this district was set up back in 2022.
Okay.
It goes on the tax rolls.
It's on
The
the
easiest
tax
way
rolls,
I've been
yes.
able to calc it or explain it to neighbors and people in my area is, let's say you have a 2,000 square foot home. It roughly puts $1 per square foot on the house, give or take, every year. So it's an extra, let's say, $2,000 a year, taxes to cover the Melrose. Does that sound about right? Can we have the applicant come up here and maybe they can speak a little bit to that? It's all financing, right, to get the development going.
Ramiro Albaran, Managing Director and Head of Investments Co-Head of Investments at Preston Hollow Community Capital, and we are the owner, 100% owner of RDR. Good to see you all again. Mayor Bishop, I think you were right on track that, this is a supplemental tax that would be added to the property taxes. It's set forth in a rate and method. and will be an obligation for the property owners during the period that they own it. So it's not every homeowner that moves into a home and is going to be there forever. So the obligation is, to pay while you're the owner. But true, if there was a purchaser early on, they would typically have a 30-year mortgage, and there would still be a 10-year portion of the tax obligation.
So it would be paid through the tech. I just paid off my house after 30 years.
Congratulations.
So that's why I'm asking. So I guess then the tax collector just attaches it to the property tax bill?
The assessor, yeah, your
The
assessor
assessors?
bill,
Okay.
and it's a
I've
separate.
never dealt with that before,
Yeah,
so.
it's a separate line item, just like sanitation
Okay.
or college. It's,
I just
you
want to,
have
I'm
a
just trying to
separate.
understand how this is working.
Yeah.
I just hate to have the homeowner have that huge payment still after the house is paid off. That was my only concern. But if they're going into it eyes wide open and they're aware of what's coming, I just hope it's explained to them at the time of the purchase.
I was going to say that disclosure is an obligation we take seriously, and so as a community at large for community facilities districts in the state. So I'm not at all worried that this would be a surprise,
Okay.
for a prospective owner.
Good, thank you.
And I also want to address one clarification for you, Vice Mayor, is that we are the current owner of the existing bonds. And as part of this transaction, we're effectively going to tear them up. And so that obligation goes away because we're the owner of the bonds. And none of the proceeds and none of the cash that is currently set aside will be used to cancel those bonds. That is just it's unusual that we own the bonds and own the land, but that is, again, we're just going to tear up the piece of paper. So all of the proceeds, all of the net proceeds that would be generated from the new issuance of bonds will go into infrastructure for the development of curbs, gutters, sidewalks, parks, roads, et cetera.
And
Okay. And none of the existing bonds, the new bonds are not going to affect the existing homeowners. It's all going to be the prospective buyers of the properties that are being built.
That's correct, but there are no homeowners at the moment, within the district.
There are existing homeowners that
There are no homeowners, within the area.
Because it's all prospectively to be built.
It would become the new bonds, not the old bonds. The new bonds would become an obligation of the new homeowners as they move in.
Right, okay. I really thank you for that explanation.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
yeah, it takes a little bit of education. When I purchased my first home and it came attached to Mello-Roos, and I learned in Santa Clarita most of their developments got built with the Mello-Roos. And one thing I noticed, and maybe you could verify it for me, but I've noticed when you buy a house or a property that has a Mello-Roos or an additional tax attached to it, it actually drives down the price of the property. Let's say if I were to buy the same house in another neighborhood without a Mello-Roos, just across the street, it would actually be selling more for the house with the Mello-Roos attached to it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair generalization. I mean, no house is identical, one from the other, but this is a burden that is taken into account by the home purchaser, their lenders. So it would have, if you had an exact same house on one without,
Right.
one with and one without, you would think that the Mello-Roos would have an impact on the
Oh,
cost of
I've
the home.
noticed. And then when the Mello-Roos finally gets paid off, the house value actually goes up because now there's not that burden attached to it.
That's right.
And that's why when home builders have no Mello-Roos, they put a big sign up that says no Mello-Roos. So I think it all ends up adjusting in the end. But yeah, it's definitely, it seems like the only way that you can get developers to build anything these days for the most part, right?
Well, it's very expensive to do land development in California. That's
Yeah.
just just an absolute fact. And without the tool of the Mello-Roos, I'm not sure how much development would occur. And I know there's a high need for homes in the area. And this is just frankly the only method that I could see actually making Ritter a reality.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. We had council discussion. Was public comment covered under the first?
Yes,
public Okay. comment
was covered under the first section.
Okay, so
Unless there's any other comment, I would like to move the item.
all right. We have a motion.
Second?
We have a second. All right, let's go ahead and vote.
Start voting.
We learned a lot about Mello-Roos tonight.
Motion passes.
All right. Item number 8, city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We've had a couple of very busy weeks, and we continue to head into the holidays with that same momentum. We have multiple events at Saves coming up this week and next week. The Thanksgiving Family Volunteer Day, the Senior Thanksgiving Distribution, and also the Family Thanksgiving Distribution will be on Tuesday, November 26th. We have Books and Barks at the Palmdale Library on the 26th. And we'd like to see you all out there to support the YMCA Turkey Trot if you would like to run off some of your pre-Thanksgiving calories on Thursday morning. Thanksgiving morning. We have Saves Giving Tuesday on December 3rd. That's the day before our next council meeting. And we encourage the community to come out and make donations on behalf of Saves clients of any food items or new toys, clothing, pet blankets, things of that nature. As we continue into the month, please join us at our next council meeting for the tree lighting ceremony at 4:45 in Ponset Lawn. If you haven't seen it, we've added a great new addition out in the park, a beautiful 20-plus foot tree that we will be lighting on December 4th. We have multiple opportunities to engage in holiday cheer at Jolly Holiday on Saturday, December 7th, or a Christmas Carol performance at Palmdale Playhouse. So, as far as events goes, as far as events go, that's all I have, but I do want to also make an announcement that we have the Veteran of the Year Award nominations open. You can find those on our website, and the award recipient will be announced in May of 2025, and that is the extent of my report for today.
All right, thank you very much. No shortage of things to do and events to attend in the city of Palmdale. All right, item number 9, sheriff's report. Captain Barden, come on down.
Good evening, sir.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, Bishop, and Council. Response times in the month of October were at 146 minutes in the city, which was a significant decrease compared to 191 minutes last year in the same time. We handled 4,706 calls for service in the month of October. We continued our partnership with the city's public safety staff, with CSOs handling 336 incidents in the month of October and writing 183 reports. We appreciate the partnership, which is the model of efficiently utilizing city resources to mutually address public city concerns and safety. Based on preliminary data, we're averaging now 262 Part 1 crimes per month in the city. Part 1 crimes include murders, rapes, assaults, robberies, burglaries, thefts, and arson. Through the month of October, crimes against persons are currently up 1% for the year compared to last year. This includes murders, rapes, and assaults. However, gang-related shootings are down 24% compared to last year and 52% when compared to 2022. We're continuing to experience an increase of 11% in property crimes driven by auto theft and retail theft, but this trend has decreased since June, where we were up about 15%. In response to our upward trend in retail theft and with the holiday shopping season approaching, we have partnered with the City of Palmdale and its Business Watch program to launch what we're calling Operation Secret Shopper, in which sheriff and city personnel will increase visibility of our local retailers, and undercover deputies will be working inside stores with loss prevention. During an undercover operation last week, we made 8 arrests at the stores over on 47th Street East and even recovered 1 illegal firearm from one of the suspects during the operation. We'll be doing these weekly to prevent holiday crime happening at the stores. We had 334 arrests were made in the month of October, and 47 firearms were recovered during these arrests. Graffiti continues to be a prominent issue for us. During the month of October, the city funded graffiti detective noted 10 arrests for graffiti and another additional 15 graffiti investigations. Traffic enforcement and collision prevention are also critical to our success in protecting the public. We're currently averaging 170 collisions per month in the city that are reported, which is an increase of 22% compared to last year, but also a 14% decrease in the amount of fatal collisions, with 12 year-to-date compared to 15 last year. We have also had an increase of 33% in traffic citations during the same time frame. We're at 9,948 citations for the year compared to 7,700 last year. This is largely attributable to the 7 city-funded traffic enforcement deputies. I want to personally thank the city of Palmdale and as well as the city manager for partnering with us on the haunted jail and open house that we had on October 19th. As city manager Perez noted at the last council meeting, the event was a huge success. We estimated around 4,000 to 5,000 community members in attendance. Lastly, I'm proud to announce our virtual deputy application is live on our website. Palmdale Station is the only sheriff station with such an application, and it allows community members to speak with a live deputy and make certain types of incident reports. Basically, they go on our website, the link's there, they answer some questions. As long as it's not an emergent or a priority type of call for service where we have to be there right then and there. They fill out their information, they put an email in, they'll get a booking link, and they can book an appointment with the deputy another day. They could talk to him via Teams, live, right over the video camera. So far, we've had a couple. We actually had one that was a resident from Palmdale who's overseas right now and had to get an incident handled, and we were able to handle it. So as we go to expand it, we're going to work out the kinks. Right now, it's only offered in English, and in the next couple of months, we'll transition to a Spanish-speaking version as well. On that note, we have an event coming up. It's a Spanish-speaking Q&A. I'll have flyers back here. It's on the 3rd of December. It's going to be at the LA Care Resource Center, and it's basically a Spanish-speaking Q&A regarding immigration status and our role in law enforcement when it comes to your immigration status. There is a lot of information in the community right now about us being attached to immigration efforts, and that is not true. So we're going to try to get ahead of that and continue that relationship with our Spanish-speaking community. We don't want them to fear not reporting crimes to us and having interactions with us because of immigration status. So I'll have the flyers back there as well as stuff for our surveys as well. Any questions?
Yeah.
Question, Captain, about the party cars.
Okay.
What is the policy right now for party cars in Palmdale?
As to what?
As
How
to
it's handled at a
Yeah,
bar?
how they're handled,
Typically we try to get, obviously, we try to get them to cooperate, right? The first level is cooperation and education. Second level is a fine via a citation. The third level is working with the city if it becomes a nuisance problem. But ultimately, conversations, cooperation, and education is what we try to aim for first.
okay, I'll take it up with you separately, but an incident that took place
Okay.
and has been a repeating incident that takes place on this particular street, where essentially the homeowner appears to be renting the backyard
Okay.
to partygoers. They take over the street, they litter the street with bottles and trash and everything else that goes along with that. Very loud up into the early hours of the morning. And there was a response, I'll talk to you about that particular case, with a response that was not appropriate to one of the homeowners.
Okay.
And that I just wanted to know, how many cars are devoted to this problem?
It's two 40-hour cars.
Two 40-hour cars. And essentially, this homeowner was told that a party on the street is not an emergency and a low priority call for them. But I'll take it up specifically with you and as well as the deputy that was involved.
Yeah, we can address the concern as to relation to the deputy in that incident, but we could also follow up with the public safety director and myself to have a plan of action for the next time.
Very good, because it's an ongoing problem. They appear to be renting this backyard to throw these parties.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Captain.
I just want to say, I think at the last meeting, we acknowledged the new public safety director, but do you want to come up and introduce yourself and say something? I don't want to put you on the spot, but
You're putting
but
him
I
on the
did.
spot.
Thank you, Captain.
He looks ready.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Jared Palmdale. I am the new Director of Public Safety here, and I guess I'm in my fourth week. So drinking from a fire hose, learning a lot, enjoying the partnership with the Sheriff's Department, getting to know all the folks over there. I think we have a great team here. I'm very encouraged and excited by the potential of the team and what it can do for the city. So I'm just, like I said, new here, still learning, but excited. Any questions, anything I can? I've met a couple of you. I think, Ms. Bencourt, I met you at your Neighborhood Watch event. And I've seen you guys in passing here, but I've got my head down over there trying to figure it all out. But happy to sit down with any of y'all if y'all have any questions at any time.
No, I just love to hear that word team several times because there's a lot going on in our city. There's a lot to do, and no entity can do it all by themselves. We have to be a team.
Absolutely.
So appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, we have an excellent partnership between our code enforcement team and our sheriff's deputies. They are working together to help bridge the gap in the services and the calls because as he said, 4,000 calls for service, that's a lot to handle, but we have a great team here and they're taking care of it. All right. Item number 10 is council reports, announcements, requests for future agenda items. Council?
Well, I've mentioned this before, but I believe Martin Luther King Day is coming up in January. And I know that we do this season of service for Martin Luther King, but I would like to see us have like a park event. If we, and maybe have it in coordination with the sheriff's department. I've talked to both of you guys in passing, and I think that would be a good opportunity for the public to get to know our sheriff's department a little better and to do some outreach to our African-American community. So if anybody has any suggestions, January is right around the corner, so if we're going to do something, we need to look into it now and maybe get it started. But I think that would be a nice event to hold for our community.
Yeah, I like that. And we'll talk about that. Anybody else?
Yes, maybe for a potential future agenda item. With AVTA, fare evasion is rampant, and I think that needs to be under control because if we allow it to happen, it's going to discourage other clientele from using those services. And I don't think it's fair to ask the bus drivers to enforce that because they're being assaulted when they do, and that's not part of their job function. So I want to bring back a discussion on whether the city or the two cities can work together with the county to try to fund a more law enforcement presence on AVTA.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea, Eric. I know that we have some cooperation agreements with the trains.
Metro,
And maybe
yeah.
we can work something out, we can do it with the buses. So, good idea.
Yeah, I'm good. Okay. Item number 11, non-agenda public comments. Do we have anybody wishing to speak from the public?
Yes, Mayor, we have Jasmine Strout.
Jasmine? I don't think she's outside. It'd be too cold. Oh, she did? All right.
Okay, we have Louise Baca.
Hello, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for your time, first of all. Secondly, I want to make sure that, I don't know it's my first time here. This is done very professionally, so I appreciate that. I don't know what the regulations are regarding you approving the street sweeping on both sides. I work from home, and I also have residents or neighbors who are seniors, people that have caregivers that come to their home to take care of their children. I think that's a huge inconvenience. I don't know what the thought process or if there was a quorum to enforce that no parking on two streets where I particularly live. If we wanted to go to another area that was not part of the or the schedule, we'd have to drive at least a quarter of a mile to a half a mile just to be able to park somewhere where the cars wouldn't be towed. It's a great inconvenience. We have an aging population. We have, as you know, I've been living here for 20 years. I've been a commuter for 15 years of it. So I think that should be taken into consideration before there's a final decision on making it convenient for a multi-million-dollar company versus the residents that live here and pay taxes. I think there has to be more of a longer conversation when it comes to passing that regulation that you want to approve.
We have news. Who wants to take that? City manager? Where are we at with that?
I would be happy to refer you to Sarah Gallagher, which is our DCM, who's working on some of the street sweeping, as well as our ACM, Sal Mendez. This portion of the meeting is not intended to be a dialogue back and forth,
Yeah,
but
that's
we
fine.
can refer to staff for the
Perfect.
latest updates.
And one final thing, how do you disseminate information for people to be more aware of these meetings so the public can join when they have issues like this? I had to do a lot of research in order to get to this point, But do you have a system in place? I know there's a website, but do you include these, having access to these meetings to the public, and how do you address those issues? I mean, that's not going back and forth, I'm just putting that out there.
Okay, well noted. We'll talk after the meeting, but go see Sal.
Okay.
Public engagement's always been tough, but yeah, we're on every social media channel possible.
Okay, sounds good.
And our meetings are always on the same day at the same time, so.
Yeah.
I'd like to share with all my neighbors.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Also, Mayor, they can be added to our agenda email list if they'd like.
Okay.
If you just give me your email address, I can add you to our agenda email list.
All right, any other speakers?
Sure.
We have Eugene Hernandez.
This past election, we have seen the greatest debacle of the Democratic Party for this century. The voters were misled by this candidate, Kamala Harris, who could not answer a single question. She was a moron. And for the Democratic Party to have spent $1 billion on this election is an outrage. Every single unhoused person could have been housed. Every single hungry person could have been fed. We could have had a $15 an hour minimum wage. We could have had rent control. The Democratic Party no longer represents the working class. All they represent is war and supporting the invasion of Gaza and the war in Ukraine. People who are ravaged by the hurricanes in Florida only got a $750 check, while right now the Biden administration, who's really a senile old fool who poops in his pants, is sending long-range missiles to Ukraine to possibly create a nuclear war. You know, the Democratic Party has lost its way. It no longer represents the working class. And for them to have put up this candidate who could not intelligently answer a single question was an insult to the American people. And I think that the third-party candidates helped to bring down Kamala Harris. I voted for Dr. Jill Stein, the Green Party, and there was Dr. Cornel West, and there was other parties that took enough votes from Kamala Harris to give the election to Trump, and I'm glad he did. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eugene.
We have Roger Soderstadt.
How you doing?
I gotta follow that. I
Yeah.
don't think that's possible.
I could.
I'd like to complain about the sidewalk going over towards the library is blocked off by public safety now. I'm not convinced that actually increases public safety. But also, I wanted to address both sides of the street. Now, I spoke with Public Works. They haven't heard anything from you people about changing it. Huh? Even though we discussed this at a previous meeting. But as Ms. Perez pointed out, everybody's doing it. If other cities doing it, it's okay for us to do it too, both sides, right? This is not a problem in my neighborhood. We have plenty of room. But in Ms. Alarcon's neighborhood, this is a serious problem. What do people do? So I hope you're looking at this issue. We talked about it, but talk is cheap. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Is that parking on both sides of the street, I presume?
Yeah, the issue's resolved.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
We will notify you shortly if it's resolved.
Oh, good.
Mayor and council, we have no further speaker cards.
Okay. All right, well, that takes us to the adjournment. So tonight, we're going to be adjourning in the memory of Carl Frank, a SAVES volunteer, and Dave Gomez. I'm going to start with something that was prepared for the SAVES volunteer, Carl Frank. So here we go. With profound sadness, we share the news of the passing of an extraordinary SAVES volunteer, Carl Frank. Carl passed away on Friday, November 8th, 2024, at his daughter's home. For 25 years, Carl dedicated himself to volunteering at Saves, making a lasting impact on our community. For about 12 of those 25 years, he worked tirelessly from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., almost a 10-hour day, Monday through Thursday, helping to keep the warehouse in tip-top shape. Carl was always advocating for the new Saves building and was thrilled with that. After so many years, the dream was finally close to becoming a reality. He was especially proud to walk through the future Saves site earlier this year. In the last 3 years, he expanded his service by joining the Community Programs Division and becoming a city ambassador. In September 2023, as part of Saves' 40th anniversary, Carl was honored with the Saves Volunteer Service Lifetime Achievement Award, recognizing his unwavering commitment and outstanding contributions. Carl was so honored to receive the award that he had tears in his eyes when it came to accepting it. Carl's love and dedication to the service only surpassed by his deep devotion to his beautiful wife, Jo, with whom he has now reunited in eternal life. He will be deeply missed by his Saves family and all who had the privilege of working alongside him. However, his infectious smile and boundless love for our community will never be forgotten, as a celebration of Carl's remarkable life of service is planned for December 14th, 2024, at, you guessed it, Saves, from 2 to 4 p.m. This event is open to the entire community. May Carl's legacy of selflessness and dedication continue to inspire us all. A lot of us had a chance to work at Saves over the years, so we all know him. We've all passed him. It's not easy when you're doing that kind of work. When you're moving food and products, it's very heavy and it's very difficult work. And it never bothered him. He was always just so glad to give service and make sure people had food and what they needed, especially during the holidays. Does anybody wish to speak or say something about him, or do we have anyone from Saves here?
I'll say something because I got to know Carl quite well in my tenure for working for Assemblymember Juan Carrillo. It was the offices right next to where the Saves offices were. And I'd show up to work, Carl would always already be there. I would leave, Carl was still there. Just the nicest guy with a smile, volunteering. He didn't work there. He volunteered because he loved his community. So to his family, we are deeply sorry for your loss. He was special to the Saves program and to the city of Palmdale, and our hearts go out to you.
Yeah, Palmdale's definitely lost one of its heroes recently, and we're mourning that loss.
I'm glad we were able to recognize him before this came about, and but it's remarkable how there's so many people in the community that do step up and volunteer at very many different levels, not just with the city, but with a lot of the organizations within the city and with law enforcement and everything else. So, but it's really sad to see the passing of an individual like that. And again, I join everyone in saying condolences to the family. And if there's any way we can assist the family in some fashion, I would like for us to be able to do that.
Definitely. Yeah, it takes a village to make this city run. It's 170,000 people, 300 plus employees.
Without the hard work of the volunteers, a city really can't survive.
No.
So it takes a very special person to donate that kind of time and effort, and he will be greatly missed.
Yeah, we lost a big part of that village over at Saves.
We deal with so many people coming with their hands out, and not very many want to ask us what they can do to help. And Carl was the biggest helper in the city of Palmdale.
Yeah, he was. So we're going to adjourn in his memory. And unfortunately, we were going to adjourn in the memory of Dave Gomez. It's not the first time. It's been a very difficult year. We've lost a lot of people this year. But Dave Gomez, active community member. He served on the Palmdale Water Board. He was an IBEW union member. I as well was a former IBEW union member, and we shared a lot of great memories together about what it was like to work on the field and put together electrical boxes and just serve the community. Another person that has been in this community for almost 25 or 30 years and serving selflessly serving the community, showing up at events and being there when needed. And unfortunately, we just lost him a couple nights ago. And I'd like to see if anybody has some memories or words or anything they'd like to say about him.
So I knew Dave because he was my opponent in a political election, and you have to understand that politics is politics, it's not personal. I've never had anything, negative to say about Dave. He was a strong fighter, gave me a run for my money. My heart goes out to Kathy, his wife. It's a terrible loss for her, and if she's listening, call me if you need me. I'm here for you. Dave was a huge community supporter. He was a huge supporter of the unions and making sure that union jobs were plentiful here in the Antelope Valley and keeping our jobs local. So he is a man that will be missed. And even though he was my opponent, my heart goes out to the family, and he will be missed. Thank you.
That was very well said. Thank you.
Well, my first acquaintance with Dave happened when I was on the council between 2001 and 2005. And we were on opposite sides at that time. In fact, I believe he had been serving on the Planning Commission, and the council removed him, right, because of ideological differences. And there were other differences of opinion at the time. So I really didn't know him all that much back then. But Dennis Anderson, another person who is a great contributor and a great active individual in the valley here, especially with military affairs and prior editor of the AV Press, had a fundraiser for veterans at one point, and Dave and Kathy were there. And we started bidding on an article that was on an auction. Back and forth we went. And finally Kathy says, let him have it. And Dave says, okay. It's still hanging in our kitchen, actually. After that, we became friends. And in 2016, after I had been up in Sacramento, came back, there was a political affiliation called the Get Along Party, which Dave was a part of. And that was that people who get involved in this valley, regardless of political background, that want to get things accomplished and get things done and built, including labor, including Democrats, Republicans, business people, and other elements of the community are part of this. And Dave was a very large part of that. And as a result, we began to work together, and we actually became very good friends. And here towards the end, I spent time with him at the hospital. I was with him a few days ago, but unfortunately he was not communicating at that moment. It is such a sad thing to see a friend go like that. And it's such a loss, really, to the Antelope Valley, not just to labor, not just to IBEW, which is so important to IBEW and everything that union does for people to bring up their standard of living, to provide training for young people so that they can train, get into a trade such as electrician, and have a good living wage, provide for their family, provide hope for their children that they might get educated or themselves enter into a trade. Dave used to talk about projects that he worked on. He worked on the Bellagio Hotel in Las Vegas, and incredible stories about specific situations that he was involved in. So I'm really, really saddened to see him go. My heart goes out to Kathy and Barbara and the rest of the Gomez and McLaren families. And I appreciate, Mayor, that you're bringing up closing this meeting out in his memory as well. And he's going to be a big loss to our community. He was too young, and it's just really sad. Thank you.
That it is. Councilmember Wilson?
I think Mayor Pro Tem said it all. I just want to say to Kathy, we're all here for you, and whatever the city can do to comfort the family, I think we should.
All right. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, in politics, oftentimes we're not on the same side, but he's somebody who could always put those political differences aside and focus on personal relationships and moving the community forward in a positive manner. So that will be missed, and yeah, that will be missed. He will be missed. Okay, so I think that is going to do it. So we're going to adjourn the meeting. Our next meeting is going to be December 4th, 2024, right here at Council Chamber. Get home safe, stay warm, and take care of each other. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir.